Hey guys, so this is the second video of Unit 6, Lesson 8. We have done 1 and 2 of these kinds of problems. If you will, pause the video and attempt number 3 and number 4. Number 3, you should have gotten negative 81.5 degrees. Number 4, you should have gotten 150.5 degrees. So for number 5, we get into having to do more than just taking the inverse of the trig function. So we want to first take care of everything else before we do the inverse of the trig function. So we've got to get rid of the 4. We've got to get rid of the negative sign as well. So to get rid of the positive 4, we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. This gives us negative tangent of x equals, 4 minus 4 gives us 0. Then we also have to take care of the negative number. So if you want to, you can always write that understood 1 there. And they're doing negative 1 times tangent of x. Want to get rid of the negative 1, so we got to divide by negative 1. Divide by negative 1 gets rid of that negative that we were talking about. Tangent of x equals 0 divided by any number is just 0. Then we can take care of the tangent, so inverse tangent on both sides. X equals tangent or inverse tangent of 0. We're going to use our calculator to find what x is. Functions, inverse tangent of 0 is 0. So our answer would be 0. Now we have to use our knowledge of tangent function to realize that if x is 0, that means the angle is 0. That means one of the angles in the triangle is 0 degrees. Does that make sense? Hopefully no. So that is not possible. So yes, your x is 0, so that would be something you would need to know how to find. But in reality, as it relates to a triangle, it is not possible. So let's do number 6 now. Number 6, there is multiple things to move. So there's a positive 4, and there is a negative 3. So let's move the positive 4 first. So we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. We end up with 6 equals negative 3 times sine of x. There is multiplication in between the negative 3 and the sign. So we're going to divide by negative 3 on both sides. And we get negative 2 equals sine of x. Then to get x by itself, we have to take the inverse sign, or the inverse function of sine. What we do on one side, we have to do to the other. Signs cancel out. We're left with x equals inverse sine of negative 2. So we put this in our calculator. We've got function, get out of that one, inverse sine of negative 2. It says undefined, so it is not possible. So if you truly want to look at it and see what's going on, we have for this one, just accept that our calculator said undefined, so it is not possible. Number 7. So we've got -5 to get rid of. We also have a -4 to get rid of before we can do the inverse tangent. So in this case, we're going to add 5 to both sides. We're left with -4 times tangent of x equals 4. Then we need to divide by -4 on both sides. We're left with tangent of x equals -1. Tangent by itself, inverse tangent on both sides. We're left with x equals inverse tangent of -1, which is the same thing as, and you can exit out of these if you want every single time, just to get all of them out of your way. So we've got inverse tangent of -1, which is -45 degrees. Number 8. This is the last one I will do with you. Actually, I'll do 11 with you too. Number 8, we have a -2 and a +8 to get rid of before the inverse trig function. So we're going to add 2 to both sides. We get 3 equals 8 times sine of x. Got to get rid of the 8, so we're going to divide by 8. 8's cancel out. I'm left with, and you can keep it as a fraction, 3/8 equals sine of x. X by itself, so we have to take the inverse sine on both sides. Sines cancel out. Left with x equals inverse sine of 3/8. We're going to put this in our calculator. Inverse sine. 3 divided by 8, or 3/8. And I get 22.02, so on and so forth, or 22.02 degrees. And that would be my answer for number 8. So if you will, pause the video and attempt number 9 and number 10 on your own. So for number 9, should have gotten 90 degrees. And number 10, you should have gotten -30 degrees. So for number 11, there should not be a double cosine. So if you will, ignore one of these. So we have -54 plus 2/3 times cosine of x equals -16/3. So a few things that we have to get rid of is the -54. we also have to get rid of the positive 2/3. So the first thing we want to do is add the 54 on both sides. And I'm going to try to do every step with you on the calculator so you can check the steps as I go. So negative 16/3 plus 54 is what we want. I want to get rid of all of these boxes. So I've got negative 16 divided by 3 plus 54. So I get 58.6666666, so on and so forth. Which is the same thing as 2/3. So we've got 48 and 2/3. So as a mixed number, that is what we have on the right side right now. So we still need to get rid of our 2/3. So simply because we can use our calculator, there is multiplication in between. So what we're going to do is divide by the whole 2/3, divide by 2/3. So we get, this cancels out, we're left with cosine of x equals okay, that's fine. So in my parentheses, you can do this on your calculator a little bit easier, but in Desmos, you would have to do your 48 plus your 2/3. So that would give you what you got recently when you did the negative 16/3 plus your 54. So we're going to do this value divided by 2/3. 2/3. And we get 73. So we're going to take the inverse cosine of both sides to get x by itself. Cosines cancel out. We're left with x equals inverse cosine of 73. So again, every now and then, make sure you're in degree mode. Inverse cosine of 73 is undefined. So we get x is not possible. So for the reason why number 11 is not possible is because once you get to this point right here in the yellow where it says cosine of x equals 73. Well, this is not a fraction. So if you created a fraction for cosine, which is cosine adjacent over hypotenuse, it would have to be a whole number, meaning our a and our h would be similar, and it would not correspond with our hypotenuse being the longest side, because our a would have to be the biggest side, not our hypotenuse. So let's say our angle x was up here. So our adjacent side, which is over here, would be much bigger than our hypotenuse, which is our denominator, which would be dividing the a, whatever that would be. So you do not have to do it number 12, but you will need to do some of these practice problems in the packet. Every single one that has a double trig function, just ignore one of them. So if you need to rewrite it, you can. as 2 times cosine of x plus 1 equals 0 for number 1, nor one of the signs for number 2. And I thought I fixed some of these, but I guess I didn't. Yep, all of these that have 2 of them, just ignore one of them. Number 8, let's say it was, let me check what I have here. Number 8, do it as if it was 4 times sine of x minus 1 equals 0, and attempt that one. Alright, if you have any questions, make sure you are emailing me and asking them.